What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope, Off the Mic Sports Network. So, one of the big pieces of AEW Dynamite on Wednesday this week was the return of 8 belts, Mercedes Mone. 8 belts, Monet. And I know I've had kind of like, kind of fun with you guys. So there's a lot of Mercedes Monet stands who get in my comments and tell me how great she is. Listen, I'm not gonna say, can I say come to Jesus, or just like kind of like a reality check with myself. Listen, I've never in my life doubted Mercedes Monet's wrestling ability. I never have doubted that. Some people in the chat think she sucks and think she's overrated. You can think what you want. I think Mercedes Monet, bell to bell, is as good of a professional wrestler that the women's division has seen, maybe ever. She is incredible at what she does in that ring, consistently putting out banger after banger. And I know that's Sheamus's gimmick, but Mercedes does that. And she's done that in a large degree during her entire run in AEW. My whole issue with this run in AEW, and people have kind of, maybe I misrepresented myself and I've kind of gotten into arguments with people, is almost none of what she has done across AEW has meant a goddamn thing. The most significant thing that she has done since she got to AEW is lose to Toni Storm at All In Texas. She's been in this company for 18 months now? And yet she comes back after 3 weeks away. She missed the entire residency in Chicago. She comes back after 3 weeks away like nothing ever happened. Like, she still comes out there with her 8 belts, like her there were so many belts around her waist that it pulled down her top and she had a wardrobe malfunction. And I don't think that she's done what she set out to do, which was elevate women in this women's division. Toni Storm did not need to win that match. I'm glad that she did, because to me, that was probably the better option, because optically, had Mercedes, she's got 8 titles. She could have a 9th one soon. She dropped her New Japan Strong Championship. Who knows? Maybe she may win that back. She could be 10 belts Monet at some point. But it's really it's weird to me how people will always lean on, how great of a wrestler she is, and lean on, hey, she's the CEO and, she's got the biggest name maybe in all of women's wrestling. And she's gone to AEW and she's consistently, and after a near career threatening injury a couple years ago, she's as good as she's ever been. I don't dismiss that. Her character is not any bit evolved of what it is. And I know I did a video about comparing her to Naomi. I think Trinity has absolutely had a better year than her, because she's changed her character up. She's taken risk. She's now the women's world champion. She's beaten Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, 2 of the standards of this division, now twice. She's pinned both of them in the last 6 weeks. One of them was off of a cash-in, and one of them was at SummerSlam. She gets to walk out with her father. Think about where we were 3 years ago when Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of WWE. Everybody was thinking that Naomi was riding off the coattails of Mercedes Moné. There were people in the fan base saying, man, Naomi's not nearly as good as Mercedes. Mercedes is the GOAT. And you look at them 3 years later, yeah, Mercedes has 8 championships. Can you guys tell me who she beat for any of those championships and if she's actually defended those titles? Like, listen, her bringing those championships and putting them on her waist and carrying it around basically like it's another accessory. Like, it's almost like she's like a cowboy with like all the holsters and stuff, and she's got all these belts. It looks ridiculous. Like, all those titles cumulative probably weigh more than she does. You don't need 8 titles to validate your legacy. Everybody in the wrestling industry knows that Vince McMahon did wrong by Mercedes Moné. Absolutely. I think the way that Vince McMahon treated Mercedes Moné in comparison to what Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and even Bayley did, Mercedes deserved more respect. And she had enough of it, and she walked out. And she bet on herself, and she has gotten everything that she ever wanted in this life. But has she done anything to change our perception of her as a wrestler or as a female talent? No, she has not. 8 belts Monet is just an ego trip for this woman. That's what this is. This isn't about elevating women. And that's been my issue with this woman for the longest time. What does this do to benefit anybody? She put over the best woman in AEW, the best character, one of the best characters that they have in Toni Storm. Did Toni Storm need that? Yeah, she needed a big win on a big show, but did they need to do that? No. You know who probably needed a big win? Willow Nightingale or Chris Statlander. You know who needed a big win? Jamie Hayter. All those women have fell at the feet of Mercedes Mone. And they had great matches with her. Billy Starks and some of these other women, some of these independent women that we've never heard of. Mina Shirakawa. But we loved Mina before, because of the whole arc with Mariah May and Toni Storm. We knew how great these people were. If Mercedes Moné was so great and we're going to elevate people in this division, you know what she would have done? She would have maybe taken a couple of losses, taken some of her lumps, used some of her, lineage and prestige to put over other people. And she hasn't done that yet, outside of only losing to Toni Storm. And now she picked up another title in Austria or whatever. She's got the Rev Pro Championship. It's like, until she defends one of these titles or, puts all 8 belts on the line against somebody, nobody is going to care one bit or buy another ticket to go see one of those shows and elevate those promotions, which, that's their decision to put them on her. But to me, and I think what people are losing sight of when it comes to Mercedes is the fact that everything that she said, she talked about this being a revolution and, women's wrestling was going to be cool and was going to be elevated in AEW. And you look at AEW's women's division compared to WWE's women's division, it's night and day. Mercedes may be a better wrestler than all of these women in the entire world, but it doesn't mean a damn thing when you aren't losing matches and you're just going through this belt collector gimmick that makes you look ridiculous. It looks like a toy. And it's like, listen, if this were about elevating these other promotions, she'd be, hey, let's defend it on AEW television. Let's, put 3 of my 8 titles on the line. Let's do something like that and do something unique to maybe elevate a woman. Or, hey, but the reality is these independent promotions that she's picking up belts from, they don't sell nearly as many tickets as AEW, and AEW doesn't sell as many tickets to begin with. And what you're starting to see is no matter how great she is, it's not made a dent and made any benefit in AEW's overall business. It hasn't. She's not as much of a draw as everybody thought she would be. WWE is just fine with letting her go, even though they did want to bring her back. And the person that she left with is now in a much better position than Mercedes is. You guys can tell me, hey, she's beaten all these other people. She's had great matches. That's not what this is about. The better character and the one who's creating more interesting and more compelling television is Naomi. Naomi has beaten people that everybody thinks it has the Hogan tendencies to in, Rhea Ripley. Becky Lynch, I didn't like that she went over Lyra Valkyria. Becky Lynch has had an unbelievable year. Io Sky is fucking incredible. She's as good as there is bell to bell working anywhere else today. And she's got a language barrier issue where she doesn't English is not her first language. Mercedes can barely talk. And English is her first language. It's all about creating captivating television in addition and, elevating other people in addition to having banger matches. And the fact that she's only lost to the standard of this entire division, Toni Storm, tells me she's all in it for herself. That's all that I've been saying for the last year plus. And people think that I fucking have it out for this woman. I don't. I think she's one of the best ever. I absolutely think she's one of the best ever. But what does 8 belts Monet even do in the grand scheme of things? Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares that she is about, I'd say, about at least 6 of those championships, one of which isn't even a title. It's the Owen Hart Cup title. By the way, the tournament that she won, that she ultimately used as a vehicle to lose to Toni Storm. This is all nonsense to me. I don't know why we keep having this issue. She is one of the GOATs in women's wrestling history. But if she wants to create more of a legacy in, elevating other people, she has got to start doing, more to, like, rather than, carrying around all 8 of these titles. Because all that doesn't help women's wrestling. That doesn't help the independent promotions. That benefits one person. That benefits her. And that's what I've been calling out for the last, 6 months to a year. None of this and everything that she said when she came in last year has come to fruition. Has she had great matches? Sure. She absolutely has had great matches. Some of the best that I've ever seen from her. But she hasn't done anything outside of put over Toni Storm, who did not need to be put over. She needed a big win, but Toni Storm didn't need to face Mercedes Mone at that pay-per-view. And all that equity that you build up by having Mercedes beat just everybody in the division, you just had Toni Storm beat her. So what is there left? She's got 8 titles. Cool. Who cares? Naomi had the single greatest cash-in in women's history. She's on her way to having a really great run with the women's championship. She's got a great character to her. She's a fantastic villain. People take her seriously. She's elevating and going out there and doing things with people across this women's division, whether it be she loses or take pinfalls or not. That's what it's all about, man. It's not just all about, hey, it's not just about how great of a wrestler it's. It's what are you doing for the division? And in my eyes, what I've seen for the last, handful of months, and she comes back, nothing's changed. She was off television for 3 weeks. Nothing's changed. She may still win the championship. And what's that going to do? What's that going to do? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.